This episode of Anxiety Slayer is sponsored by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try and save 10% on your first month at betterhelp.com/slayer. That's betterhelp, HELP.com/slayer. Welcome back to Anxiety Slayer. It's good to be with you this week, where we're going to be speaking about the pitfall of journaling when you're living with anxiety. Welcome, Ananga.
Hey, Shan.
Good to be with you. And this is a topic we haven't really covered much in the past. As much as we've talked about the importance of journaling and how helpful it can be, we haven't talked about the pitfalls.
Yeah, something that I've been thinking about recently, changing the way I journal. And then I read a favorite author of mine, fantastic soul by the name of Josie George, shared a post on Substack about how she was intending to change her journaling and her reasons for it and how she was changing it. And it really resonated with me and what I'd been thinking about too. And then I was thinking, when we're living with anxiety, it's very easy to show up day after day and say, I feel anxious, or I'm worried about this, or I'm worried about that. Something to watch out for, having balance in what we choose to write out.
Yeah, because a journal isn't so much a reflection of your life, your whole life, the big picture of your life, as it is what you're focused on in the moment that you're writing in your journal. And so, what are we focused on?
Yeah. And it's funny because I was really thinking about that. And then I read this article on Substack, and then I came across somebody on YouTube who I think a lot of people are familiar with, Ryder Carroll, who developed the bullet journal. And I'd written the bullet journal off as something that I thought was planning oriented, which years ago would have really appealed to me. I've seen people with the little symbols that they use in the bullet journal, and that would have been right my thing a few years ago, but I didn't think it was now. And then a friend of mine said, have you seen this book, The Bullet Journal Method? And I said, oh yeah, that's been around for years. And they gave me the impression it was more contemplative than I'd given it credit for. So I decided to have another look. And then I came across this quote from Ryder, which says, if we use our journal to only focus on the negative aspects of our lives, we risk reinforcing a distorted perception that can have far-reaching consequences.
So true.
And I was thinking, oh, there it is again. That's what I've been thinking about. I like to write in the morning. I like to clear my head. I like to set my sails for the day. But I'm not at my best physically in the mornings. So it's easy for me to write frequently how I'm feeling, what's hurting, what isn't working so well. And it did help me develop deeper self-compassion, but when I look back, it's not really what I want to be there first thing every day. I'm aware that I have richer things to think about, things that nourish me, things that inspire me. So yeah, I was really thinking about how that can apply to anxiety and how we can review it so it can serve us well.
It might be a good practice to allow yourself to maybe write a paragraph about that and then move on to gratitudes or what you're looking forward to, or the things that are bringing you joy in this moment, that just take that focus away from pain, anxiety, worry, whatever those things might be, because they're there, but we're so much more than that. As I said earlier, we're so much more than the pain that we carry or the anxiety that we feel in our bodies.
Yeah, definitely. And what you've just described really is my method. It always ends up in a better place, and there'll be a verse from the Bhagavad Gita or something I've heard, or a photo of a beautiful tree, or there'll be the other stuff there too.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to start out with that information, and I don't like so much now looking back over it and seeing it. It feels a little Groundhog Day. It's like, oh God, oh, okay, there it is again, there it is again. So at the moment, what I'm doing is writing whatever I need to say, and then I delete it or rip it up if it's on paper. And I always find that once I've done that, I come to a better point.
Bless it and burn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really smart. When we're tapping and something is bothering us and to be able to just write down, even though I'm feeling anxious right now, I'm not going to spend time journaling about it. But what I am going to be journaling about, or what is bringing me joy, or what have you. So there's that way of addressing it without having to label and uh, go back to this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is bothering me.
Yeah. That's a good point. And you reminded me that with tapping, we do start with what we call the plain truth or the ugly truth. You start with how you feel, but it's not where you're wanting to end up, and it's not where you want your focus to rest.
Right.
So you're moving through that. And I guess if I'm writing something and then letting it go, it's the same kind of thing, trying to get to that brighter place. But I think it's so easy with anxiety for us to vent or pour it onto the page, which has its place. It does have its place. And sometimes anxiety can feel quite private and isolating. And we might say things to the page that we're not going to say to somebody else, unless we're working with a therapist or somebody very trusted. And I still maintain that that has its place. But I think it's finding the balance of not staying there. One of the points I was reminded of is that when our focus isn't carefully directed, we experience its negativity bias. And of course, that's where the mind goes by default.
Sure.
It will go to what's wrong. So look back and see, how do we feel? How do you feel when you read back through? Is it serving us as well as it could? Is there something we can adjust?
Mm. In talking about reading back through journals, it's something that I don't do until I'm ready to get rid of them.
Mm.
So I will fill up a notebook without looking at it again until it's time to burn it. And I'll go through and read everything and then let it all go and be like, "Oh my goodness. It's amazing to look at how far you've come uh, in that moment, or who you were when you started that particular notebook and filled it up to who you are now when you're releasing it." I always find that to be quite interesting.
Yeah, that's also a really nice process. It's fitting with what we shared in our How to Calm Your Fragile Mind course. It's like ripening of emotions and then releasing. I think something for me that started off as extremely helpful but now isn't serving me so well is been using this Day One journal, which is an app. And I've been using it for about 13 years. And there's a lot of amazing stuff in there, and photos and realizations and things that I really love to read. But it does this thing every day where it says on this day 5 years ago, on this day 6 years ago. And I noticed I was starting to feel a little bit anxious about that. It's like because of
What's going to come up?
what's going to come up. Yeah, like sometimes we don't want our photo reel to come up if it's been running through particularly difficult times, challenging times, sad times. Perhaps there's been some loss or some uncertainty, and then you see a photo, and it depends how your mind rolls. My mind's a little sticky, and it can think, "Oh, that was when that was happening." But it's changing, it's improving. I've been working with it, and it's improved a lot. I'm grateful to say, but that's my tendency if I'm not shepherding myself.
Yeah.
And of course, shepherding ourselves takes some energy. So at the moment, I'm contemplating moving away from that journal and possibly deleting it.
That would be a big move of energy if you've been doing that for that many years too.
13 years. And I'm habituated to check it.
Maybe on the next full moon.
Yeah, thinking about it. So, I wanted to share that personally as well, that there are times when it's good to review. Um, I trashed my blog a while ago, my Living by Design blog. I was writing that for many, many years, and I just decided I didn't need it anymore. My focus had changed, my writing style had changed, and I deleted it.
Mhm.
And it was such a funny thing because, when you have a body of work like that, blog or something, if you deleted it by accident, you'd be all kinds of clenched up.
Right. Oh my gosh, my site crashed. I can't get
Yeah,
my
right.
yeah.
And I was like, are you sure about this? I'm like, yeah, I'm absolutely sure. And it went. I was like, wow. It's like 580 articles, just blink, gone.
Yeah.
And I was sort of stopped and I asked myself, how do you feel? And it's like, I feel fine. I feel fine. So I think, that may be coming with this as well, to really switch out. And also, I don't know if I shared on the podcast, but my phone was stolen in a particularly unpleasant way a few weeks ago. And that's also nudging me to be really as analog as possible. I've no intention of spending out. I've got an old phone that it works just about. But it's like, okay, I've got a camera. Let's I liked the camera on the phone that got stolen, but I've got a camera. Let's use an actual camera. Let's use that. More pen and paper. There's no social media on my phone. I like it.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm trying to get back to as much analog as possible. I love pen and paper. It's very good for my mind. So yeah, it might be going.
Good for you.
And that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you, Shan, because I feel it's good for us to review these things. And you often say, how do I feel? What do I need? What's no longer working? Is this old story? Do I really need to hold it? There are things in my journal I've been very grateful are there because they've shown how I've tried to deal with some things, things I've learned, and that's been helpful. But, we're living life forwards. I think it can be challenging if we look backwards too much.
Hmm. Well, let's kind of shift gears and talk about some of the changes that we can make in our journaling process that will kind of steer things to be a little bit more positive and not in a place where we can fixate on things that are air quotes wrong or upside down in our lives.
Mm.
Perhaps we can start with remembering to journal when things are going well. When you have a run-in with what I call an earth angel, when you receive kindness from somebody, a stranger, or from somebody you love, a neighbor, or support in any way, and when you notice that you give it to yourself, that you're being sweet with yourself. For many of us, that is not a regular occurrence. And if it's something that you're practicing and you notice, what a gift.
Yeah, kindness is support. Kindness is we've shown ourselves. Question, what did you learn today?
Mm. And that made me think about also to be in a place of gratitude for exactly where you are in this moment, to enjoy how far you've come instead of unearthing more that you wish to change.
Mm.
We have so many breakthroughs, so many good things happening, even while living with anxiety. And that doesn't have to be the overarching theme of our life. It just doesn't. And if we practice that and oh, in this moment right now, I feel great. What a blessing to just be chill right now and to not have anything spinning me up.
Yeah, nice. That's a lovely point. And that's something we've spoken about, is how to live well with anxiety. When you said living with anxiety, I was thinking about not just enduring, but living, really living.
Mhm.
Like, okay, I have this challenge, but this is me. This is what matters to me. This is what I love. And I think journaling, really, when we put meaning up front and center,
Mhm.
what's that quote? Someone with a why can endure any how. To explore our why, to really look at what matters to us and have that reaffirmed, can be very
Yeah.
helpful.
Yes. And then also to track something that you're pleased with, something that you did or experienced, a triumph. Maybe you pushed yourself a little further than you normally would, and everything turned out beautifully. To just notice those changes. Maybe you had a healthier meal today. Maybe you moved your body a little bit more. Maybe you, uh, whatever. The list goes on. Those are beautiful small triumphs to log and to help you continue forward.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that goes in for me daily, something I'm pleased I did. Um, Even if it's just getting outside, moving, getting some fresh air. Um, those things, something I've read, a little studying, reaching out to see how somebody else is uh, doing,
Mm.
attending a meeting, a meet-up of friends on Zoom. I'll write those things down every day. Something of that definitely goes in there for me every day.
And then, of course, anything that you hear or read that inspires you. You and I have both loved inspirational quotes for ever and ever and ever. And you'll read something and be like, ah, there's just something perfect in that sentiment that I want to jot down and remember, whatever that might be.
Yeah. I heard one yesterday that got written down from somebody who's an expert on the 12 steps, lovely lady called Nancy. She said, mean what you say and say what you mean, but don't say it mean.
Hmm.
I thought that's so cool. A really nice standard to live by. So, yeah, I'm always writing things like that down. I've got several notebooks on the go with quotes. Something that's also really nice, a nice exercise is to copy out a passage from a favorite book and just copy the author's words over in your own hand and sit with them. We can learn a lot from doing that. And it's a beautiful reflection. That can be a lovely thing to do as well.
I like that.
I think something else that can really help is to explore on paper what we can do to support ourselves. And I think that's where I kind of end up once I've expressed what I need to express. If I'm struggling with something or I'm feeling particularly unwell, that's where it will go to is, what do I need? What can I do to support myself today? How can I make this as good a day as possible? Those can be beautiful things to explore on paper and write about.
I like to add them right into my calendar as well.
You schedule them.
I do. I schedule self-care. I schedule um, walking. All of it so that I can see it uh, within the day, knowing that, okay, I'm getting this work done or this home care done or whatever, but I'm also taking care of myself. And this is what that looks like so that I have at least one thing each day that is, and it's looking at you. It's because I look at my calendar every day like, oh,
What calendar is that? Is it a paper calendar or a digital?
well, I use two calendars. I haven't gotten rid of my paper calendar, but the one that I use the most is the one that I have online, and it's just my Google Calendar tied to my account so that I can,
Right.
and it's all color coded.
Yeah.
Anxiety Slayer is orange.
Oh, same. Anxiety Slayer's orange on my calendar too.
Yeah, and so today I'm gonna be walking to the post office instead of getting on the treadmill because the sun is shining, and I know I need some fresh air and sunshine, and I'll pick up the mail, and that'll be about a 20-minute walk, and that's good. That's good enough for me today. Things that I'm looking forward to that are plugged right into that, daily task list or appointments, etcetera.
Yeah, I do that too. So very similar. I noticed a while ago my calendar was making me a little tense because it was just full of medical appointments and tests and the stuff of life.
Mhm.
Tax returns, paying the rent, and those things are in a brown color box. That kind of shows how I feel about them. Requesting a medication I need, a repeat of that. I'm just looking at my calendar now, and there's that one. And then what I started doing was adding sweet things. I've got a nice pale green for self care. This is on my, I don't know, whatever calendar comes with your Apple setup. I think it's just called calendars. So I've got a pale green for self-care. I've got a nice color for reading and study. I've got a yellow color for meetups with friends.
Yeah, so you're doing the
Yeah,
same.
yeah. And sometimes it will say, like yesterday, it said from 2 to 5, get out and read, which was my thing of getting outside. and going somewhere with a book, and I did.
Yeah.
I was committed to doing that. There were other things I needed to do yesterday that were needs and shoulds. So I wanted a little pale green box in there with something good, and I did it, and it was helpful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it's balance, isn't it? Balancing things out.
Making sure that you're doing the things that you want to do along with the things you need to do,
Yes.
um, and and giving thanks for all of it.
Yeah. So really seems we just keep coming back to this. Say what we need to say, and that's definitely got its place, but don't live there.
Yeah.
Don't live in the challenge.
And just please remember your life is a gift. It is so much more than the anxiety that you experience. So let's get that on the page. Let's get
Yeah.
those gratitudes down. Let's get those triumphs listed. Those quotes, those moments that bring you sweetness and joy, because that's going to change everything. You're going to be able to invite more of that beauty into your life.
Yeah. And really look for where you've shown strength and courage, because anxiety will tell us we haven't. But we do every day. And if you're living with anxiety, you're already courageous. Even getting up and putting your socks on with anxiety can be an act of defiance, an act of courage. So look for the little things that you're doing every day and show yourself some love for that.
Mm. Thanks, Ananga. And thank you for listening. You're welcome to join our Patreon with over 200 guided relaxations, tapping sessions, and classes to help you slay your anxiety. Visit patreon.com/anxietyslayer.